Is that what it is? Okay, hold on. I think I figured it out, y'all. Let me see. Is that what it is? Okay, hold on. I think I figured it out, y'all. Is that what it is? Okay, hold on. I think I figured it out. There we go. We should be all set to go. So I guess last week I didn't add myself to the screen, and that's why you couldn't hear me. But now I believe that we are set. So this is the Experience to Income Masterclass. This is y'all. This is the Experience to Income Masterclass. This is y'all. I should start this whole thing over. This is a whole mess in the beginning. Okay, let's back up. Let's reset here. We're going to reset. 2.5 minutes in. We're all right. I want to go live on TikTok. Maybe I'll clip this out for you guys watching the replay. If you're watching the replay, just fast forward a few minutes because, oh, come on. There it is. There we go. Okay. Let me go live up here. That is set. Oh my goodness. Welcome to the Experience to Income Masterclass. I am so excited that we have sound this week. We are able to get this done. What you can expect to learn today is how to take your skills and or lived experience and turn them into a digital product. Okay, I'm teaching this live on Substack, live on YouTube with slides. If you are watching on TikTok and you want the slides, go ahead and tap on the link in bio and join the creator edit. You can see it there, or go to my YouTube channel. If you don't want the slides, you'll still get great information on TikTok. You just will not have a visual to go with it. All right. The Experience to Income Masterclass, turning lived experience and skills into a digital product. This works even if you don't have a large following, even if you're not an influencer, you have no desire to be an influencer. And if you don't want to overshare your life, there are details we don't always want to share, and we still want to make some money. So with that being said, let's jump in. Today's agenda, here are the things I'm going to teach you today. So the first thing you're going to learn is what actually sells online. How can we take this experience and turn it into income? You're going to learn how experience becomes a digital offer. Okay, I'm going to walk you through a very simple framework to where you're like, oh, I can turn that into a product. Okay, it's going to be a no-brainer. And the last thing I'm going to teach you is why most digital products fail. What is it that makes a digital product just not be good? What makes it fail? Okay, so we're going to jump into that. Now, before we jump into that, the first thing is, if you have never seen my face before, you're like, who is this chick? I'm going to break down really quick a little bit about me, a little bit about who I am. So my name is Nikki. If you want to give me a business title, you can give me a business and identity coach title, okay? Because that's a lot of the core of what I do. We talk business, we talk identity, we talk the subconscious beliefs that are sabotaging your business. We do all of that, okay? Or I do all of that. Some fun facts. I am a mom. I like to say 3 + 1. I have a bonus child who has her own parents, so she's my +1. And then I have 3 of my own that are pictured right there. I am born and raised in California. I am a West Coast girly through and through. So I've been out here my whole life. I've moved a little bit, but I always end up right back on the West Coast. So that's where I'm at. For my astrology people, I am a Gemini sun and a Gemini moon and an Aries rising. I've heard that's quite an interesting combination. So take that, do with that what you will. Okay. Some of my hobbies, I love to write. Obviously, I'm on Substack. I love to write. I love to storytell. I love to share experiences. I love to connect people through words. I love to, formulate thoughts in a way that brings people together, that makes people think a little bit more. So I do love to write. I love the beach, hence the West Coast lifestyle. I do love to weightlift, and I also love to eat, which is why I have to love to weightlift, because otherwise we got a whole situation going on there. So a little bit about some of the background pieces and how I got started and why I am here to help you. I created my first digital product back in 2019 with a newborn. So the oldest child you see there, he was brand new. He was like, I don't know, maybe 2 months old, if that, when I created my first digital product. And that came from a skill. I'm going to explain the whole story to you in a minute, but it did come from a skill. I did not even know what a digital product was. I was like, I don't know what this is. I know what an ebook is. I'm going to go with it. Okay. In my corporate experience, I do have 10 years corporate sales experience. So I've done retail, I've done B2C, which is business to consumer, and I have done B2B, which is business to business. So I have done all of these things inside of my corporate career. And then certifications, you don't need them. Some people love them. I'm going to throw mine out there. So I am certified as a spiritual life coach. I am certified as a storytelling coach, which is essentially rewiring the subconscious stories we have in our brain. And then I am a certified art therapy coach, which I will be bringing back into practice here shortly. Don't ask me when. I don't have an answer, but it'll be fun. And then in San Jose, California, I did study business and psychology. So the way I like to learn, I don't have a degree. I went, I got what I wanted out of it, and I left. Okay. That was my style. That's what I did. So, why a digital product? What can you actually create a digital product out of? I'm going to give you a little bit of my offer suite here, my history on the different products that I've created. The purpose of this is so you can start to think as I'm going through these products. I want you to start to ask yourself, if you have experience in something like this, something adjacent to this, something similar, right? So I told you earlier, the very first digital product that I ever created was back in 2019. This was the ultimate guide to selling your services. I did not want to go back to corporate. It didn't work. I did go back. But at the time, I did not want to go back to corporate. And I knew that I had sales skills. I knew what an ebook was, and I knew that I wanted to make money online. So I took my sales skills from the past 10 years at the time, and I had turned that into an ebook to teach service providers how to sell their services. It talked about prospecting. It went from prospecting to running a discovery meeting, to closing on the discovery meeting, to asking for referrals, to doing the onboarding, the whole step-by-step process. That was the first product I created. The reason that I tell you that you don't need a large audience to do this, okay? If you're over here like, I don't have a large audience and you're nervous about that, I want you to sit with this in your mind, okay? When I created this first product, the ultimate guide to selling your services, TikTok didn't exist. There was no like virality reach yet, okay? It was Facebook. I was on Facebook. I had a friends and family Facebook page. I was maybe in a handful of entrepreneur groups. I was starting to like kind of see what online not even online business, just what online income looked like. I was starting to see that a little bit. And so I pitched that book on to my friends and family Facebook, and it sold. And what that told me, what that did for me is it put into my brain, I can create something that I've been through. I can create something from what I've been through, and I could sell it. And that was the first pivotal moment for me. Okay. So if you haven't sold anything, if you're watching this and you're like, Nikki, I haven't sold anything. First of all, if you haven't sold anything yet, I want you to leave me a 1 in the comments. I want you to let me know, so that I can understand like where we're at. If you've made something and you've sold it, but it was like on accident, leave me a 2. Okay. Let me know what we're going through here. So after that product, I learned about a niche. And what a niche is basically calling out a specific audience. So I took the ultimate guide to selling your services and I turned it into how to sell your fitness program and grow your business. One of my experiences, this was like the B2C side, I guess you would call it, was selling personal training packages for the personal trainers in a gym. Okay. And so I realized personal trainers, they can get your body right, they can get you in shape, but they might not know how to sell that. They might not know how to talk about that. So I turned that into how to sell your fitness program and grow your business. That actually still sporadically makes sales on Amazon. It exists on Amazon. You can go buy it. The information is old, the contact information stuff, but it does exist. So from there, I now had an audience. Okay, I'm targeting fitness coaches just from the sales experience that I had. So after fitness coaches, I took that same product. I want you to start thinking, what are some different ways I can teach one experience? So I took that ebook to teach fitness coaches how to make sales in their business and grow their business. And I turned it into a 6-week workshop that I called Fitness Business Bootcamp. And this was 6 weeks to basically take you from certified trainer, you had to have a certification, to being able to understand where to get your personal training clients. Okay, so that ran for 6 weeks. It was live. I learned a lot. The first thing I learned is if you're going to do a live training, which we'll get into later about, the different types of offers you can create. If you're going to do live, record each session because that can then double as a product later. Okay. So I didn't record it. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew how to teach these people. There was success in there. And then we moved on. So after this time period, I started to dabble more into business. And so, as I'm painting this timeline for you, I want you to start to think about your own timeline, how one event can lead to another and then to another, okay? And all of these can then become different offers that you put in your offer hierarchy. So, after that time, I started to learn email marketing and I got good at it. I got very good at email marketing rather quickly, which makes sense because I love to write. So I started taking on email clients. I started doing done for you email. I started doing done with you email. And then I was doing just like one-on-one. I'm going to show you how to write better emails. I had 3 different tiers to this portion of my business. Once that saw success, then I moved into this one right here, soul-led storytelling for $1 million emails. Okay. People were writing good emails. People were seeing results. I took what I knew and I packaged it into a course. What this did for me was this was the very first time I ever made what I would call passive income. So I sold it on Facebook. Again, I will always vouch for Facebook as a sales platform. I sold it on Facebook again, but what was different this time is I talked about it in a post and I went off and I went to a wedding with my now husband. That was my boyfriend at the time. We went to a friend's wedding, and in that wedding I had made 2 sales and I was running like a promo, right? So in that way, I was like $100 each. So in that wedding, I had made 2 sales while I was offline. I wasn't actively promoting it. And that was the first time I ever saw passive income. I was on the wedding. Or not on the wedding. I was at the wedding. I'm dancing, having a couple Coronas. And sure enough, we get back to the hotel, there's 2 sales there. So I made $222 while not being actively present. What this did for my brain then is I was like, not only can you create something from your experience, but the beauty of a digital product is you can create something from your experience and it can sell on back end systems. Okay. So think about that as well. Now, what if you're like, Nikki, I don't have skills like that. I don't have like business skills like that. I don't really know that side of it. So pivot down to here. 90 days mindfulness journey. I went on a very like deep spiritual journey, right? And so from that, I started to create a mindfulness journal and I sold that. I think that still exists on Amazon too. So I sold copies of that one. Then you pivot. I had my second born. I had a difficult postpartum the second time around, mentally. And I was really like struggling with calmness. I was struggling to just like see the beauty and the experience, all of these things. And I remember having to create this method mentally. I called it the mindful minute method. And it was for moms who maybe did not have like who didn't have upbringings that weren't raised in chaos. So I made that ebook, Mom's Journey to Mindfulness, and it was about embracing calm in the chaos. And I taught the methods that I had to train myself in postpartum inside of that ebook. So if you're up here looking at this and you're like, Nikki, I don't have skills, you have an experience. Okay. Everybody has an experience. As you're watching this, if you're thinking about using skills for a digital offer, I want you to comment a 1. If you're thinking about, you know what, I might go more the experience route, leave me a 2. And I'm going to show you exactly how that works. After that, I took a break from business because I had 2 children and I just was, like I said, I was in a little bit tough place. So I came back, I had created a method well, listen, this is controversial. To me, I created it. It was called intuitive writing. Apparently it's a thing. It's like a stream of conscious thing. So I didn't create the method, but I got really good at the method. And I got really good at meditating and I got really good at journaling and I got really good at like spiritual practices. So I came back and I launched what was called Intuitive Writing Mastery. And this was all about getting in touch with your higher self and the spiritual side of entrepreneurship and just like a real true self-discovery mini course. Okay. That one sold. After that, I wanted to get back into business. So I did how to write an ebook and teach what you know, because I had written several ebooks at this point and I wanted people to start to see their skills and experiences as a way to make money online. From there, I then created my current signature course, which is Digitalize Your Expertise. And this is how to take your skills and experience and basically turn it into a business model. I'm going to be talking more about that at the end. I'm going to teach you in this class how to do it. I'm going to teach you what you need to do, how to make it viable. You can have an offer by the end of this. And then full transparency, I will have an invitation for you at the end if you do want to join. So that is an overview of the products that I have created in the last, it's 2026, in the last 7 years. Okay. You can turn just about anything into a digital offer. I don't want you to put things off the table. I don't want you to, start to think that you have nothing. You have something, and it will evolve as you go. Okay. So through these courses, I've helped different people. These are some of the things they said. I'm actually going to go ahead and skip this one for today. And so you might be asking, like, Nikki, why am I even teaching you this? Why are you going to give this away for free? Why do you give this away for free every week? That's a better question, right? Because I know what it's like to be frustrated and confused. The slides that I just showed you about the products that I have, those are the ones that sold. Okay. I know what it's like to create something and then it doesn't sell. It doesn't do anything. It's very frustrating. Okay. It's a blow to your ego, to your sense of self-worth. There's a lot of blow there. I know what it's like to have skills and not trust yourself with them. And that's a frustrating experience when you feel that your skills can only exist in a certain area of your life and not all areas of your life. You limit yourself that way. And I don't want you to limit yourself, okay? I know what it's like to work late nights and maybe not even see a reward. Okay. Leave me like a yes if you've been like, man, I have been hustling every single day and I feel like I'm spinning on this hamster wheel, like it's not going anywhere, right? I know what that feels like. So I want to help you. So now that you have a little bit of my backstory, let's go ahead and jump into the full training. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to pivot the mindset. And people don't like to hear that, but business is like 80% mindset. Okay. You have to pivot the mindset. So for those of you that are in here and you're like, I don't know if I'm ready, I'm not ready for this. I want you to think of it this way. I have a transformation and I know how to speak to it. And that is enough, because it absolutely is going to be enough. And you're going to see how. It's all been done. This is my favorite. It's all been done before. It's all been done before. Listen, your story and your voice are what make it unique. I want you to think about the bread aisle, okay? If you walk down the bread aisle and you'll see 15 different types of white bread and 15 different types of wheat bread and all these things, people still have a preference. People still have a preference of wheat bread, right? People still have a preference and they're like, wait a second. I don't want the one with the oats in the crust. I don't want the one with the pistachio nuts in it, right? People have their preferences. Selling feels gross. It feels icky. Because you have a transformation that you can speak to and it's going to be enough for your offer, I want you to remember that selling is serving and it's very sacred when it's aligned, okay? If it feels gross, it's probably not aligned, because the way that I teach you sales, it should not feel gross at all. It should feel very just like one of the testimonials on the other page was like, was that a sales pitch? Because the way that I teach sales is not, you don't feel like you're being like twisted arm sold to like a used car lot. Okay. And then the last thing that I hear a lot is like, well, I'm so scared of what people are going to say. But I want you to remember, like, the right people are always going to be thrilled that you have this offer. Okay. They're going to be happy that you have this offer. Couple other things to remember. You learn the skills and you absolutely deserve to be compensated. Your transformations, people's transformations are literally waiting on you. Okay. They're waiting on you. Some of you are starting to have ideas in mind. Some of you starting to think like, actually, I could turn this experience into a product. I could teach on this. I could coach people through this, right? There are people whose transformations are waiting on you to just show up authentically. Okay. You get to be an authority in your space. People will respect your work because the right people are going to respect your work. Why? Because your story is going to serve a purpose. When you don't share your gifts, you don't share your experience, you don't share, the transformation that you've gone through, you do a disservice to others. Okay. Some people need to be led. Now, I want you to think about this for a moment. You have something teachable. Think about this. If you could be known for anything, what would it be? Take a moment. If you have a notebook, write it down. If you don't have a notebook, you should have a notebook. But if you don't have a notebook, then think about it, in the back of your mind. Like, if you could be known for anything, what would it be? And I'm sure a lot of you had something pop up like that, right? If you want to share it, feel free to type it in the comments. If you could be known for anything, what would it be? Share it with us if you're feeling comfortable enough to do so. Okay. One thing I want you to remember is the future is not going to be job security. The future is right now, actually. It's going to be self ownership. Skill, story, energy, and experiences, those are your currency. That is how you're going to get paid in this era. It's just a matter of packaging them to sell it for income. Okay. Keep that in mind as you go through this. Keep that in mind as doubt creeps in. Doubt will creep in. So, as we're clarifying your experiences, last time, I want you to think, what skills have you learned? And as you're thinking about the skills that you've learned, I don't want you to limit yourself. I want you to think about what skills have you learned from jobs? What skills have you learned in school? What skills have you learned that or maybe skills that you were self-taught, right? You didn't learn them in a job. It's just something you became really good at, a hands-on type of thing. For example, like my dad, he's good at woodworking. I don't know where he learned it. I don't know how he learned it, but he can do it, right? So that would be a skill that he has. So start to think about it. What skills have you learned or what skills do you have? Okay. And if you have your notebook, write out a couple, like 3 to 5 skills that you have just to get started, right? Think also of this. What do people come to you for advice on? Do people come to you asking for help with relationships? Do people come to you asking, like, hey, I need help with budgeting? I need help organizing my house. I need help baking. I need help getting this photography lighting right. You know what do people come to you for advice on? I need help with business. People come to me and they're like, I need a creative strategist. I need you to help me organize my thoughts. I got you. I can't organize mine all the time, but I can help you, right? Think about that. What do people come to you for advice on? What major experience or experiences did you have to go through that shaped you today? On the examples that I gave you from my own experience, postpartum would be one of those, right? My spiritual awakening journey and leaning into intuitive writing and meditation practices and things like that, that would be one of them. Those were experiences that shaped me. For some of you, that might look like divorce. Maybe divorce shaped you in a way. Maybe court. Maybe you had ugly custody. That shaped you in a way. Maybe it was, a grief experience. Maybe it was, let me think, an adoption process, right? What experience did you have to go through that shaped who you are today? And I'm going to add a little asterisk to this one. If you do use an experience, I want you to be sure that you're comfortable talking about it because you will be talking about it on the internet. You will be talking about it to other people, right? Like this would also become a part of your marketing. So if you have an experience that shaped you well and you're like, well, I'm not ready to discuss that. I'm not ready to talk about it. Do not add it to your list because it's already going to, I'm telling you right now, you're going to scratch it off already, or you're going to do it and then you're not going to want to stick with it because you don't want to actually talk about it. Okay. So if you're going to do the experiences thing, make sure that it's something that you're confident in talking about. And then the last question I'll leave you with for this slide is, what do you consider yourself an expert on? Brag on yourself. If you were going to brag on yourself, what are you the expert on? What do you know? What can you do well? I'm an expert. I can literally find just about anything and tell you how to turn it into a business model. It's crazy. But that's something I consider myself an expert on. If somebody wants to get started in business, like I can help them with that for sure, especially the ones who are like, I don't really know how. I can help map that out. I would consider myself an expert on that. Okay? So think about that. What do you consider yourself an expert on? When you clarify your experience, I'm going to break down the profitable niches and I'm going to break it down a little bit differently than what you might have heard in the past because I would hear this in the past and it just was not making sense to me. So, the 3 most profitable niches are going to be health, wealth, and relationships, hands down. And the reason that these are the 3 most profitable is because people are going to always want to pay to feel better, right? About something. So, when we look at wealth and we look at the wealth niche, I'm gonna go backwards. I'm gonna go like here, here, and then up there. So when we look at wealth and we look at the wealth niche, wealth can be how to make more money. It can be budgeting. It can be how to save money. It can be how to pay off debts. Okay. So when you think of wealth, I don't want you to only think about, well, I'm not in that niche because I'm not showing people how to make more money. If you're showing people how to manage their money, how to budget their finances, how to do better with money, that would be considered the wealth niche. Okay. The next one is relationships. Relationships, same thing. There's always a lot of like, well, I don't speak to like, romantic relationships and stuff like that. Relationships can be a number of things. Relationships can be platonic relationships. These can be parent-child relationships. Okay. So if you are in the family niche and you are doing, something like my Calm in the Chaos ebook for moms, that would be the relationship niche, right? Relationship to self, relationship to parent child, relationship with spouse. Okay. These can all overlap. And then the other one, which I said inside of that niche, but that would be relationship to self, personal development, how you view yourself, how you talk to yourself, right? Relationship to self is absolutely a part of the relationship niche. And then the last one is going to be health. Health is the one that's pretty self explanatory, but health is going to be, your fitness niche, your wellness niche, nutrition, um, weight loss, weight gain, muscle building, different things like that can fall into the health niche. If you have the qualifications to talk about it, mental health would also fall into the health niche, right? Self regulation, different things like that. Those ones is where you start to see an overlap between health and relationships. And there's a good chance you'll have an overlap. That's no problem. Okay. You may have an overlap, but those are the top three. Now, some of you might be like, what about spirituality? Because I was some of you. I was like, well, I do like spiritual things. So I like to think of spirituality as the enhancer, right? That's more of the methodology. So even if you look at other people who are in quote unquote the spiritual niche, they have an outcome. Okay, so for example, like your astrology people, right? They might be astrology, but then it overlaps into relationships. People want to learn about themselves. People want to learn about, their potential future partner, different things like that. It could overlap into the wealth niche. What are my birth chart? Can I make money? Right. So different forms of spirituality, those are just enhancers. Those are, those sorry got distracted. Those are the enhancers to these three core niches that you see right here. Okay, so when you think about, as you're writing your experience, you're writing some of your skills, think about where it falls into. Now, defining the transformation, this is key in your product. If you cannot define the transformation, then people are not going to really know why they should buy. Okay, why do I need this, and why do I need this right now? So, when defining the transformation, what is the before and after? The easiest way to determine the before and after is to think about your before and after. Excuse me. Okay, think about your before and after. Think about your before and after. Where were you at the start of your journey? Where were you at the very beginning? And who did you become after? Okay, think about that. Now, what are the tangible and emotional results? And I'm going to give you some examples in a few minutes. So if you can't think of anything, the next slide will have examples on it. So, what are the tangible and emotional results? Tangible results are things that you can see on paper, right? More money, smaller waist size, right? These are things that you can measure, and somebody else can look at it and they can see it and they're like, "Oh yeah, I see that she's, got more money in her bank account, or I see that her physique has changed, right? Or I see that her acne is gone, right? Whatever it is, right? Those are tangible results. But then what is the emotional result? Every tangible result usually has an emotional result tied to it. Sure, I'm making more money. But what does that mean for me emotionally? Does that mean I get to connect with my kids more? Does that mean I have less anxiety because I'm not so stressed about how I'm going to pay bills? Does that mean I have, a calmer nervous system? Does that mean I have more opportunities? Now I have fulfillment. Now I can give my children like the childhood they need, right? What is the emotional result for them? If you're looking at weight loss, right? What is the emotion that comes tied to that? Is it confidence? Is it less anxiety? Is it being able to be more outgoing and outspoken? Is it outspoken? Is it somebody who can put themselves out there, right? What is the emotional piece to that? So when thinking about the before and after, think about the tangible and emotional results. You want to ask yourself what becomes possible for them after the transformation. If something is keeping them up at night that they feel like they can't attain, that they feel like they can't get to, and they go through your program, what becomes possible for them after that? Or then not even a program. They can go through your ebook, your guide, your masterclass, whatever it is. What becomes possible for them after that? So, for example, in this class, what becomes possible for the people afterwards is they really start to see their life experience as something that can be monetized, right? As something that can help others, as something that they can turn into an offer for others. Okay. So, when you're defining the transformation, I want you to think about the 3 to 5 steps that you have personally taken, or you would and you would guide somebody, that should say and you would guide somebody else through to move them from, let's say, stuck to empowered, right? So, the first thing is the experience. You're in the experience. The experience probably sucks. Okay. The experience probably you're like, I don't like this. I don't like this feeling anymore, right? Then you hit a turning point. You hit a breaking point. You're like, I've got to change something. Okay, if we're looking at my postpartum portion, right? I knew I was in the postpartum experience in a negative way, and I knew that I was supposed to be doing it positive, right? I was like, you don't get this time back, you don't get these years back, you don't get these moments back, right? And that was my turning point. My turning point was I don't want to waste my time being miserable. I don't want to feel resentful, right? That was the turning point. So then in the turning point, a method gets created. This is when you figure out how you're going to get out of it. And then you have the transformation afterwards. Okay. So when you think about it like that, what are the 3 to 5 steps that you have taken that you would guide somebody else to? So for me, it was creating the mindful minute method, learning how to slow down and be a little bit more present, taking 5 minutes to myself to meditate or to do breath work or whatever it was. And that in turn made me a 10 times more patient mom. It made me excited about, coming home to my babies. It made me all kinds of things, right? That was a transformation. Now I had patience. Now I could show up. Now I could enjoy my postpartum experience instead of resenting it, right? That was the transformation. So when you're thinking about your steps, break it down as simplified as you can. You want it to just be 3 to 5. I don't recommend more than 5 because then it starts to get a little bit overwhelming. This should be bite sized. Okay. You should be able to just get to the transformation or at least the first part of the transformation. This isn't to say that they're going to be cured of whatever it is the first go around, but you want to get them to that next step. Because if they're in the experience, if they're somewhere between the experience and the turning point, they're not seeing that. They're not seeing the full transformation. They're seeing that next step. That's where you come in, right? With this little bite-sized framework here. So, for example, let's use house cleaning as an example. This is a mom. Her house is messy. She's overwhelmed with, all that she has to do. She has 3 children, okay? So, in her brain, she's going, I don't have time to clean my house. Maybe she's working. Maybe she's got a business. Maybe she, is co-parenting, whatever it is, right? In her mind, it's I don't have time to clean my house. I got way too much going on right now, right? But maybe you have a method, and your method, you're like, hey, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you set up a 20-minute daily cleaning system that's going to keep your house tidy without overwhelm, even if you have 3 kids under 6. That's going to pique my interest. Well, me personally and other moms. That's going to pique the interest, right? I have 3 kids under 6. I'm overwhelmed with cleaning. I can do this without overwhelmed. I don't have time. Okay, 20 minutes a day. I have 20 minutes a day if it means it's going to keep my house clean. You see how that works? So now this is the transformation. And the beauty of the transformation, this is a part you can speak to in your content. A little tip for you. That right there is your marketing as well. Okay, another one. Let's look at credit card debt, for example. I want to get out of credit card debt, but I don't want to stop having fun. Right? Maybe there's a misconception that if I start to take my debt seriously and pay it off, like I have to give up everything. But maybe you have an experience and you're like, actually, we're going to create an 18-month debt payoff plan without giving up everything enjoyable. This is how I did it. I'm going to teach you how to do it, right? Now they have a transformation that is attainable to get them to that next step. Okay. Maybe the step after that is then once they see this, maybe the next step after that, maybe you have a secondary program and it's how to not get into debt in the first place, right? Or something like that. How to stay out of debt after you've paid it off. Maybe that's the next one. But for right now, we need this first step of a transformation. But leave me a 1 in the comments if that makes sense. If you can see now how the first step and the first product then gets put into a hierarchy, right? Now you can have a next step and a next product. Now you have, a few steps that you get to take, or I'm sorry, that somebody can take through your own experience. We're just breaking it down into smaller pieces for them. Another, let's see, career, right? I hate my job, but I'm too old for career changes or to change careers. 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, right? We all kind of feel this. Once you're kind of 10 plus years into a space, you're like, wait a second, this this is where I'm staying, right? This is where I'm gonna be. But maybe you have a method, maybe you have an experience. You're like, actually, hold on, you can change industries mid-career. I did it within 6 months and you don't have to start over financially. Maybe you have an experience you can speak to and a tangible method, a framework that you created that you can then guide others through. Anything can be a business. I really believe that just about anything can be an offer when it's positioned properly. Okay. So when you're defining the transformation, I'm going to show you this. This is Maslow hierarchy of needs. It was showed to me about a year ago, and it really changed the way I thought of things. So you want to sell them what they want and give them what they need. So you cannot sell somebody on self-esteem, for example. So the pyramid shows like this is the base, right? The physiological needs need to be met first. This is your basic food, shelter, water, your basic needs, right? And then safety and security. Once you have that met, then you can get into safety and security and so on and so forth up the pyramid. For those of you on TikTok, it goes physiological needs, safety and security, love and belonging, self-esteem, and then self-actualize at the top. So in your offer, in your transformation, if we use this example from before, and I was saying, I want to get out of credit card debt, but I don't want to stop having fun, and you have an 18-month debt payoff plan without giving up everything enjoyable, you can't take them from this to an offer on, how to stay out of debt, right? They have to see this first. So when we look at it like this, once the physiological needs are met, then you can move up the pyramid. So you're not going to talk to somebody about building self-esteem when they don't even feel safe in their own body. You have to meet them where they are. Give them what they want. What they think they want is safety and security in their body. And arguably they might. But what they actually need in order to really hold that is they also are going to need some self-esteem. But you can't talk to them yet about self-esteem. They're way down here at the bottom of the pyramid. So when you're thinking about your offer and your transformation, make sure you're talking to these bottom needs here or whatever need is next, right? And this is what comes into like knowing your ideal client and knowing the emotional side of your ideal client or of your buyer. So now that you have some steps, you can name your signature framework. Okay. Step one, what is the first thing somebody needs to know or feel? And when I say name it, you could turn it into an acronym if you want. Okay. You could turn it into like an acronym, the AIM method, let's see, I'm trying to think of other three words, the grow method, the elevate method, the, I don't know, climb method, different, you can do different things like that if you want to, okay? But if you want to do it that way, then you're going to think of a word that answers each of these questions. So, what is the first thing someone needs to know or feel when going through your method? 2, what do you guide them into or help them shift? This is their turning point, right? So like my method that I showed you, which was experience, turning point, and transformation, I don't have an acronym for that. It's fine. But if you can do one, you can do one. So step 2, what do you guide them into or help them shift, right? Step 3, what is the result, the embodiment, or the outcome once they have shifted? So you want to speak to the middle for you is what I would call the turning point, right? This is the part that you have to guide them through or help them shift. I have to help people see that what they have experienced, the different ways that they can turn these into an offer, the different ways that these can be turned into a product, right? Because a lot of people for my clients, they're kind of walking around like, I like this idea of making money online, but I don't have anything teachable. I don't have any skills to teach. I'm not like them. I can't put, I can't put something together, right? So my job is to show you how simple this is, okay? So think about what your job is, the first step of the transformation for your offer. Now, when choosing your digital offer, here are a couple options that you have. First is ebooks. Ebooks typically range from $17 to $97 depending on how in-depth they are, okay? My very first product was an ebook. I find ebooks very easy to create because I like to write. So you can start with an ebook, and really it should say ebook/guide. I don't know why I put guides with toolkits. We're going to disregard that. So ebook or a guide, right? A guide is just a shorter version of an ebook. So an ebook is a little bit more in depth. Maybe an ebook can be multiple chapters, taking them through a full transformation. A guide can take them through a portion of the transformation. Next thing is workshops. Workshops can run once a month. You can run it like a workshop intensive where it runs like my fitness business boot camp many years ago. It was a workshop. It was a 6 week like group coaching workshop, right? You can run those for 47 to 297, give or take, depending on how much you give them, depending on how much also on the back end that you're creating, right? If you're going to give them worksheets and workbooks and things like that, that is going to up the value of what you're giving them. Okay. So that is workshops. Masterclasses. This is a masterclass. A masterclass is taking one thing and teaching it in a 60 to 90-minute session. They can go 2 hours, they can go longer if you want. You can run these. The masterclasses are good lead magnets. You can do these for free. I like to do them for free, but you can sell them. You can run it free once and then sell it after, right? And if you're going to sell it, those typically sell anywhere from $47 to $197. Okay. Again, depending on how in depth you go, depending on how much you're teaching, depending on are you giving them supporting materials? Are you giving them PDFs? Are you giving them worksheets, right? What is coming with it to up the value? Then you have your coaching containers. Coaching containers are higher ticket because they have access to you. If somebody is joining a coaching container, they have you in their pocket, in their community, whatever it is, right? So coaching containers, you're always going to look at 4 figures plus inside of coaching containers, okay? And again, this depends on your experience, your how much access they have to you, different things like that when it comes to that pricing. Toolkits. Like it says guides and toolkits. We're just going to focus on toolkits. Toolkits is when you have a compilation, if you will, of different things that you put into a little kit that people would come back to. So templates, swipe files, different PDFs, things like that. Those would be a toolkit. Intuitive Writing Mastery, which is one of the products I created at the very beginning, and I showed you at the very beginning of this, I considered that a toolkit because there was workbooks involved, there's meditation practices. It's something that it's not like a course where you're going to go through it one time and have all of the knowledge. You're going to come back to it every time you need to reground into spiritual practice. Okay. So it's a toolkit. And then the last type is a course or a mini course. So a mini course is just a smaller version of a course. A course is going to be taking your process and breaking it down into modules. So digitalize your expertise, for example. That is a course that I have, and it takes you from this identifying your skills and sellable experience into turning it into an offer and then into actually setting up the back end tech, emails, different things like that, right? It's a full step system. A mini course takes a portion of the course. So my Experience to Income Lab, which is a private mini course that I have, that is 4 modules, right? That is basically this masterclass expanded into taking your experience, identifying it, creating an offer, and then knowing how to sell it, learning how to the sales process behind it, right? So that would be a mini course. It's completed in about 90 minutes. It's not long at all. Whereas a full course, probably going to take at least a weekend or, some more time for them to really implement everything that's in there. So when you're thinking about your digital offer, you have your skills, you have your experience, you're thinking of your own digital offer. You need to start asking yourself these questions. Number 1, how long does the transformation take? Okay, is it going to take some time? Is it a quick transformation? Helping you identify a skill and experience and the offer you're going to create, that's a quick transformation. Now, getting you to identify the experience, creating the offer, setting up your systems, getting your link in bio going, getting an email funnel going, that's a longer transformation, right? So think about that for you. How long does a transformation take? Think about the capacity that you have to show up. Do you want to write it one time and be done with it? Do you have the capacity to, go to an office or go somewhere and record multiple videos to create a course. Like, this is for starters. Eventually you can expand beyond what you have, right? But for starters, what capacity do you have right now to show up? How do you show up best? Are you a talker? Are you somebody who's like, man, I get on video and I just get people with my words, my video, with, all of that? Or are you more of a writer? You're like, I move people through words, I move people through writing, right? How do you show up best? And that's not to say that you can't do more than one. That's not to say that you won't overlap. That's not to say that just because you're a better writer doesn't mean you won't show up well on video. Like, I'm better at writing and I still show up on video, right? But for starters, how do you show up best? And the last question, which is rhetorical, is there more than one way to teach this? The answer is always going to be yes. There's always going to be more than one way to teach it. You can teach it through an ebook. You can expand that ebook into a masterclass. You can take that masterclass and expand it and break it down even further into a course, right? There's always different ways to do this. This is a hierarchy. This is having an offer ecosystem. But for your next offer, or your first, for my beginners, what capacity do you have and how do you show up best are the top 2 questions to ask yourself to create your offer. Now, the last piece before we close out. Why do digital offers fail? Mickey, I've created offers and I just can't sell them. They just don't sell, right? Why do digital offers fail? The first reason I'm gonna give you is no audience and no market research. So the easiest way to fix this, if you have a skill or experience in mind that you're going to turn into a digital offer, head over to TikTok, head over to Pinterest, head over to Instagram, to Facebook, to Google, to the internet, right? Head over and start typing in words that have to do with your experience and see what people are searching for. If you have an experience in mind that you want to turn into an offer and you're not sure if it's going to sell, go search the internet and see what people are searching for. One time I was working with a client on this, right? And she was doing anxious attachment. And we searched anxious attachment into TikTok, I believe it was. And we saw anxious attachment workbook, anxious attachment workshop, right? There were people who are actively looking for a product around this. And so if you have an experience that you want to turn into a digital offer, start searching for it on the internet. See if people are asking about it. See if people are looking for a specific product. Now you're not only seeing that it's viable, but you're also seeing what type of product you can create. Okay. Reason number 2 is they don't know about it. Why would they not know about your offer? Because we're not talking about it. Okay. You have to talk about your offer. People can't buy what they don't know exists. Okay. That's why digital offers fail. You're not talking about it. And number 3 can be maybe you're like, no, Nikki, I'm talking about it. I talk about it all the time. Okay. Is the transformation clear? If the transformation is unclear, it's going to be difficult to sell. If the transformation is unclear, then confused buyers don't buy. If they don't understand what they're going to get at the end of it, that could be why the offer is failing. Okay. And then the last piece, which I have to touch on, is the identity and embodiment piece can also be a huge reason why the offer is not working. Your digital offer is only as good as you energetically believe in yourself to teach it. This is why at the beginning I said, if you have an experience that you're not ready to talk about, don't put it into an offer, because you're not going to want to talk about it. You're not going to want to teach it. Okay. You have to believe in your ability to teach what it is that you are thinking about teaching. Okay. If you're on Substack, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and take a picture, screenshot that, whatever you want to do. And just remember that piece. All right. Now, what we have done, and I know we've done a lot because my voice is going hoarse. We have clarified your expertise or experience or skill set, right? You at least have a little list that you can pull from on what you can turn into a digital offer. We have outlined a method, that you have to take them from experience to turning point to the transformation, right? 3 to 5 steps that you would take your people on. You've mapped out a digital offer idea. That's just the idea. We don't have a whole offer created, but you mapped out an idea: ebook, workshop, guide, masterclass, course, mini course, coaching program, right? You have an idea of what you can do. And lastly, you've determined if it's viable. How do I know if it can sell, right? You can at least go and do a little bit of research on your own. I want to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like heck yeah, I can do this. Shoot, 8 to 10 being like, absolutely, I can do this. One being like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. I want to know on a scale of 1 to 10, how do we feel about experience turning into an offer, which would then eventually turn into income because this is the experience to income method. Okay. Leave me a comment there. 5 if you're in between. 5 if you're like, I've got some, I'm still a little bit overwhelmed, but I can see where it's going. Like I said, 10 is like, I'm excited. I am ready. I know I can turn this into an offer. Okay. Let me know in the comments. Well, that's our check-in time, actually. Now, for those of you who are on here and you're like, okay, this is good. What's next, right? What can I do next? I do have some options for you. I do have little gift options for you because I have to always do a gift, right? Thank you for coming. And there are two different ways you can do this. So the first way is going to be the DIY approach. Okay. This is I have enough and I would like to do it myself. I have what I need. I got clarity in this class and I'm ready to just do it on my own. Okay. That's going to be one option. Second option is going to be hands on guidance. This is like, I've got a lot, but I really want to see this through to fruition. I want to take this beyond a digital product. I want this to become a business model. I want to make impact with this. Like, I am just ready to run, right? It's a marathon. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but we could still run. So the first thing is going to be digitalize your expertise. This is for my DIY people. I alluded to this in the very beginning of the class, but this is a DIY course to take your story, skills, or lived experience into a fully built, packaged, and marketable digital offer. Okay, it's a guided course. So you're going to go through 7 modules. They're bite-sized. Most of the videos are bite-sized. The most of the videos I want to say are 10 to 20 minutes. There's maybe one that's like 40, but it's very in-depth like this one. Okay. So you'll learn how to identify your digital expertise, right? So the experience or the skill that you want. If you already have that from this, you can skip that module. You will learn how to choose your best fit product. I'll give you a more in-depth breakdown of each of these products. Okay. Then you'll teach you how to build and design your offer in Canva. How can I structure this? How can I build a digital offer with this, right? I walk you through how to host and deliver it with StanStore. I do that because that's just the link in bio tool that I have. So you can do it with StanStore. How to use story selling as your sales strategy. This is story-led sales. I'll walk you through how to make it to where your story is the emotional connection to your audience and your offer is the logical next step for them. Okay. And the last piece is how to market your digital products. There's a Pinterest walkthrough and a TikTok walkthrough on there for video style content. And then for non-video style content, there is also more to come on that. I do add to that module as different things come up in my own business. So this one is the full transformation from idea to offer to full visibility. And let me see if I can grab the link really quick so I can put it in the chat. So if you're on TikTok and you want to digitalize your expertise, you want to go from, idea to full digital product to digital offer, you could just tap on my little picture there and then tap on the link in bio and it will be right there. It is it's the third product down. Okay. If you are on Substack, I don't think my comments link to Substack. So if you are on Substack, same thing. You can go to resources and it will have digitalize your expertise on there. If you're on YouTube, YouTube just pops right up. So if you're on YouTube, I am putting it in the comments right there. So that first comment is going to be digitalize your expertise. Now, for those of you who are like, this is good and I want your help, I got you. So this is the hands-on guidance. This is the signature program for my business. It is called the Empress Authority because it is business and identity work. Okay. So this is a 6-month program for women who want to take their experience and turn it into a digital offer hierarchy. I said a moment ago, this is for the ones who want to really build a business with it, make a full impact beyond just digital products. Okay. So this is 6 months. We go through 4 phases. The first phase is the inner authority. I don't want you to let that freak you out that we're not doing anything but mindset work. That is not true. You will have an offer to sell within the first 30 days, but simultaneously, you will also see yourself as the authority to sell this offer. Okay. Phase 2 is going to be messaging authority and positioning. So now that your offer is out there, we are going to see what people are resonating with, getting your messaging right, getting you into authority positioning and things like that so that people see you as the expert. For some of you, this will happen very quickly. For some of you, it's gonna be fast, okay? Phase 3 is going to be expansion systems and digital hierarchy. Now that we know what the people want, now that we know what's working, what's resonating, now we're going to expand. Now we can create other products off of that one product, okay? Now we're setting up the systems so that your business is running even when you're doing other things. Like I said, my first passive income, I'm dancing at a wedding, drinking a Corona, and sure enough, there comes some sales, right? That's what I want for you, the systems and stuff to have it in place so that you are not online 24/7. And then, of course, the digital hierarchy, which is, I think I just said a moment ago, the different offers that you will have from the one experience. Okay. Phase 4 is going to be the legacy and evergreen model. This is how you sell them on repeat. Okay. You'll have a funnel system set up, be able to sell it on repeat with different price points and different entry systems to meet people at different areas, right? Where they're at. So this one here is the full business building breakthrough. This is how you take an experience and you're going to turn it into massive impact. Some of the tangible pieces that you will get: 30 minutes one-on-one onboarding call to lay the foundations. I don't like to join a group style program and then not really know like what, I don't like to know where to start. I think onboarding is important. So we're going to do 30-minute one-on-one onboarding call to lay the foundations. Your 6-month contract does not begin until your first available group coaching call. So for those of you who joined today, you would onboard this week. Your contract would start next Thursday. Your first offer will be created in the first 30 days. Who wants to wait around to make money with their offer? I don't. So we got to get going. First 30 days, usually quicker. I give 30 days just in case something comes up. I have 3 kids. I know things come up, right? Live coaching calls are every Thursday. The replays are going to exist inside of a hub in Member Vault, which is where our back end system is ran. So you will be able to access the replays. If for some reason, hey, that's not true. You will be able to access the replays if for some reason you cannot show up live. And then you'll have a private community access for ongoing support. This is implementation. This is being able to share wins with other entrepreneurs who are also building on the same journey. And then the last piece is going to be templates and step-by-step curriculum. I don't want you to guess like, what do I need to do next? What's the next step, right? I've got a whole curriculum that is built out and still currently being built out on the back-end system to get you going and get you started. So the whole 6 months, you'll be guided through the experience to income framework, but a lot more in depth. For the pricing, this one, I forgot the pricing of Visualize Your Expertise. I'll go back and tell you. For the pricing to work with me inside of the Empress Authority, it is $6,000 for 6 months. That's pay in full. If you want payment plans, we do offer Klarna and Afterpay. I think that helps it start at like $140 a month or something like that. And let me tell you, for Digitalize Your Expertise, right now you can grab that for $147 instead of the full price of $397. Okay. I can't believe I forgot that. That's like one of the most important parts. Is it though? See, that's sales psychology. Anyways, you can do this on your own. Absolutely. Most people don't want to. A lot of people want help. There's accountability in coaching. There is guidance in coaching. Let me actually put the link to the Empress Authority in the comment section. So again, if you're on TikTok, link it or profile pic, bio, the Empress Authority. Substack, it's under resources. And for YouTube, it exists right there in the comment section. If you have questions, if you're like, this sounds good, I just need a couple things clear, my DMs are open. So DM me the word Empress to learn more about the Empress Authority. You can DM me to learn more about Digitalize Your Expertise. You can DM me to learn more about anything else that's on my stand store, really. All of my usernames are the same across Threads, YouTube, Substack, Instagram, and TikTok, and Facebook. It is at Nikki Lynn Mayo. So if you have questions, like I said, send me a DM. I am more than happy to answer them. And that is the end of the class for today. So now that I understand my tech issues with the screen share and stuff on StreamYard, this is only my second time using it. Well, my third time, but my second time smoothly. We should have no more issues. We should be good to go from here on out. So With that being said, I will see you guys on Monday for Monday's masterclass as well. Bye, everybody.